Good morning, our dear students. Today we are gonna to illustrate how to carve upper permanent first molar. First, take your lens. The length of the upper first permanent molar is 7.5 millimeter. Draw your cervical line at 7.5 millimeter, and below draw 5 millimeter. Take a line at 5 millimeter. Then draw your midline perpendicular on both cervical line and the base portion. Again, draw a midline on the opposite side. Unlocking on the buccal aspect of the upper first permanent molar, we will find that the narrowest wedge will be at the cervical line here at the neck, while the maximum wedge will be at the slope level here and here. Take care that the distal slope is longer than the mesial one. Here is the distal slope, which is longer, and here is the mesial slope, which is shorter. So the minimum wedge will be at the neck, and the maximum wedge will be at the slope level here and here. Take care that during the first step, during taking our wedge, we will find that we will take a new dimension, which is the intercuspal distance. This dimension is a new dimension. We haven't taken this intercuspal distance in the wedge step, neither in the canine nor in the premolar. It's a new step in the molar. So we will take an intercuspal distance in the first step on taking our wedge. So don't miss this intercuspal distance that we will take from the first step. We will take the minimum wedge, which will be 4 millimeter from the midline, 4 millimeter, and 4 millimeter from both sides of the midline. Then take your slope level, which is 2 millimeter mesially. This is the mesial slope, which is shorter. And then take 3 millimeter from the top of the wax, representing the distal slope, which is longer. Here is the distal slope. There should be 1 millimeter separating the mesial from the distal slope. If these two slopes join together, then you may have make something wrong. And now we are putting our maximum wedge on the slope level, which is 5 millimeter from both sides of the midline. Here is our new dimension intercuspal distance at the top of the wax, which is 3 millimeter from both sides of the midline. Connect 4 millimeter with the 5 millimeter and the 5 millimeter with the 3 millimeter. The 3 millimeter with the 5 millimeter and the 4 millimeter with the 5 millimeter. Then straight to the base. Connect and join to the opposite side. Then again take your dimension, your wedge. 4 millimeter on the cervical line, 5 millimeter on the slope levels. Connect between your points from the 3 to the 5 and from the 5 to the 4. And then straight to the base. Now we are going to cut our first step outward from the 3 millimeter. Take care that your cut is smooth, straight, flat. Then redraw your slope level. Cut between the slope level and the cervical line inward between the 5 and 4 millimeter. Direct your knife inward. Make your surface smooth and flat, and watch your line. Then straight to the base. Repeat on the opposite side, but after finishing this one, here we redraw our cervical line. Again, from the 3 to the 5 millimeter outward, watch your line from the 3 to the 5 millimeter outward, and the whole surface as well. Make your surface flat, directed outward. Remove any excess wax. Then redraw your slope level. So that you can cut between the slope level and the cervical line inward, and the whole surface inward. Finish your cut. And then after finishing, down straight to the base. Don't miss to redraw your cervical line again. Here we have taken our width. Regarding taking the thickness, this step is similar to that done in the premolar. We will take minimum thickness at the cervical line at the neck, while the maximum thickness will be at the level of maximum convexity. Here is the level of maximum convexity buccally, and here is the level of maximum convexity lingually. Notice that the maximum convexity at the buccal surface is at the cervical third, while the maximum convexity lingually will be at the middle half of the tooth. So we will have two lines of maximum convexity as done in the premolar. Take your minimum width at the neck, while your maximum width here at the level of maximum convexity lingually, and here at the level of maximum convexity buccally. And don't miss the intercuspal distance. That will be 3.5 from both sides of the midline. Take care that in the molars we take 2 intercuspal distance at the first step and another intercuspal distance at the second step, so don't mess that. We've drawn our cervical line. Here's our first step, and then we will draw the midline perpendicular to the cervical line from both sides. as usual, and we will put here labeling, say that this is a buccal surface and this will be the lingual surface. Regarding the buccal surface, we will take 2 millimeter or 2.5 millimeter, representing the maximum convexity level, the level of maximum convexity at the buccal surface, while the level of maximum convexity at the lingual surface will be higher in the middle half of the tooth, about 4 millimeter. Take care that the level of maximum convexes shouldn't join together. There should be about 1.5 millimeter gap or more, or 2 millimeter gap. Here we will take our minimum width, which is 5 millimeter, and our maximum thickness, which is 5.5 millimeter. 5.5 millimeter. And the intercuspal distance at the top of the wax, 3.5 millimeter from both sides of the midline. Then we will join, notice here, the 5 with the 5.5 and up to the 3.5 millimeter. 5 with 5.5 millimeter and up to the 3.5 millimeter. And as usual, straight on the base, repeat on the opposite side. Take the dimension again on the opposite side, 5 millimeter, 5.5 millimeter, join together and up to the 3.5 millimeter. Then straight to the base. After drawing, we are gonna to cut out the excess wax outward from the 3.5 millimeter to the 5.5 millimeter. Finish your surface and watch your lines. Then reach the level of maximum convexity, then redraw the line of maximum convexity and cut inward between the line of maximum convexity and the cervical line. Inward. Yes, inward. Between these two lines. Make your surface flat, then down to the base. Straight down to the base. Again, here is our maximum convexity, which is at the cervical 1/3 buccally. Yes, it is a buccal surface. Again, on the lingual surface, outward from this intercuspal distance from the 3.5 millimeter down to the 5.5 millimeter. Then redraw the line of maximum convexity, which is here higher, and cut between the line of maximum convexity and the cervical line inward, between them, inward. Finish your surface and then down straight to the base. Here we have taken our thickness. Regarding the fourth step, which is making this buccal convergency, which is characteristic for the upper first permanent molar, and we will make slight roundation to the mesiolingual line angle and adjust our rhomboidal outline. Let's see together. After taking our thickness, on the distal buccal line angle here, we will do what's so called a distal buccal convergence. Draw a line on the buccal surface. What we are doing here, that we are gonna to remove wax from the buccal surface, not the whole buccal surface, only half the buccal surface, the one toward the distal half of the buccal surface, not the mesial one. We are removing wax from the distal half of the buccal surface, as you see, and as well we will remove wax from the buccal half of the distal surface. So we are making what's so called distal buccal convergence. Make the buccal surface narrower by removing wax from the distal, and make the distal narrower by removing wax from the buccal. This is what is called distal buccal convergence. Redraw your cervical line, and on the opposite side we will do mesiolingual line angle roundation, just a roundation to the line angle, slight, not as that done on the distal buccal line angle. And now you will see that on doing both distal buccal convergence and mesiolingual line angle roundation, you will have two obtuse angle, thus adjusting your rhomboidal outline. So take care that these two, meaning distal buccal convergence and mesiolingual line angle roundation, will adjust your rhomboidal outline. So take care to reach your occlusal surface while doing both of them. Now let's carve our occlusal anatomy. First, take care that your occlusal outline is rhomboidal. The mesiolingual obtuse angle and the distal buccal is as well an obtuse angle. Check your rhomboidal and then draw a midline. Take care that it is a slanted midline towards the lingual, from the mesial to the distal, towards the lingual, slanted midline. Then draw mesial triangular fossa and carve it out, distal triangular fossa and carve it out. Take care to be away from the marginal ridges. Now we are gonna to open the V-shaped notch 45 degree inside toward the slanted midline, and another 45 degree towards the slanted midline from both the buccal and lingual. Take care not to touch your buccal and lingual outline. Here is our fossae. Now we will separate the lingual into two cusps. We have two cusps, two lingual cusps, mesiolingual cusp and distolingual cusp, and the mesiolingual is larger. 2/3 the distance is for the mesiolingual and just 1/3 for the distolingual. Separate the two lingual cusp with what's so called a V notch. With taking care that the mesiolingual is larger than the distolingual. Actually, the mesiolingual cusp is the largest cusp of all the four cusps. Separate the two lingual cusp with your V notch. Take care that as well we will repeat what we have done on the buccal aspect, but take care that the mesiobuccal is a little bit larger than the distobuccal, just 1 millimeter difference. So the mesiobuccal is larger than the distobuccal by only 1 millimeter, unlike the mesiolingual and distolingual. Separate with the V notch as well. as we have already learned in the premolar. Separate your cusps with a V-notch. Here we have two buccal cusps. Two buccal cusp, two lingual cusp. Then each cusp we will draw a triangular ridge. Here is the mesiolingual. We will draw its triangular ridge, which is oblique one. Oblique. After drawing triangular ridge, remove wax 45 degree into the distolingual groove and the other 45 degree into the mesial triangular fossa. 45 degree to the right, 45 degree to the left into the nearest groove or fossae. Here is the distobuccal, which is opposite to the mesiolingual. Triangular ridge is as well oblique. 45 degree to the buccal developmental groove and 45 degree to the distal triangular fossa. It's very easy. Draw your direction, the direction of the triangular ridge, and then 45 degree to the right and to the left to the nearest groove or fossae. Here is the distolingual cusp, direct straight forward, and then 45 degree towards the distal triangular fossa and the other 45 degree towards the distolingual groove. Remove any excess wax, yes. And to the last cusp, the mesiobuccal cusp, here it's a triangular ridge directed straight forward. Draw your line, directed straight forward, then 45 degree to the mesial triangular fossa and the other 45 degree to the buccal developmental groove, separating the two buccal cusps from each other. Now we have carved out 4 cusps with its 4 triangular ridges. Now we are accentuating the grooves. Here is the central groove, and here is the buccal developmental groove separating the two buccal cusps. Remove wax from them. The buccal we are here removing wax from a mesial triangular fossa, from the central groove, and from the buccal developmental groove. Note that the central groove and buccal developmental groove are perpendicular in each other. And as well, we are finishing the mesiobuccal cusp as well. Here we are removing debris, wax debris, from the buccal developmental groove and from mesial triangular fossa. Here we are extending the buccal developmental groove 2 mm on the buccal surface, and on the lingual, distolingual, here is the distolingual developmental groove. We are accentuating the distolingual developmental groove, which is semi-curve. An extension of the distolingual developmental groove is the lingual developmental groove, just 2 mm extended on the lingual surface. Clean your grooves, your fossae. Finish your triangular ridges, your 4 triangular ridges, from the groove to the cusp, from the cusp to the groove. It may seem difficult, but it is very easy. Just clean your occlusal anatomy, as you have done already in the premolar. Here is the mesiolingual. We will draw the tubercle of Carpelli. Excellent. on the mesiolingual cusp, semicircle, and then we will remove, after drawing it, we will remove wax by the carver from it. Yes, we will remove wax so that it is obvious. Excellent. This is the tubercle of Carpelli on the mesiolingual cusp. Take care that it is on the mesiolingual cusp. Remove any line from your molar, carved molar. Then draw your cervical line, mesially convex occlusal wise, just 1 millimeter, while the distal straight. After drawing your cervical line, remove a very small layer of wax, very small layer of wax, just to accentuate the cervical line a little bit. Again, back to the occlusal, we will remove any wax debris that have get into our grooves or our fossae. If we look here, we will find that we have 4 cusps with 4 triangular ridge. We will find our oblique ridge joining between both the mesiolingual and distobuccal cusp. We will have mesiobuccal developmental groove, central groove, distolingual groove. We will have 2 fossae, 2 triangular fossae, mesial triangular fossa and distal triangular fossa. Here is our finished molar. Here we can see the buccal aspect, the distal aspect, the lingual aspect, and finally we can have an occlusal lock on our molar. Here we can have this occlusal lock. If you look here, we will find that, okay, it's a little bit hazy, but we can okay, see this together. Please watch. Here is the mesiobuccal cusp, and here is the distobuccal cusp, and here is the distolingual cusp, and here is the mesiolingual cusp, which is the largest cusp. Here is the tubercle of Carpelli. And never to miss that the mesiolingual cusp and the distobuccal cusp are joined together. Their triangular ridges are joined together by what's called the oblique ridge. Don't miss that this is the buccal developmental groove separating the 2 buccal cusps from each other. And here is the central groove, which is from the central fossa directed toward the mesial triangular fossa. And regarding the lingual cuspes, they are separated by a distolingual groove, which is semicurl like this, semicircle, distolingual groove. This distolingual groove ends here in the distal triangular fossa. Don't miss the extension of the distolingual developmental groove, which is the lingual groove 2 mm on the lingual surface, and the extension of the buccal developmental groove on the buccal surface as well. Again, here is mesial triangular fossa, here is a distal triangular fossa, and notice that the mesial triangular fossa is here, while the distal is a little bit toward the lingual. So don't miss that. It may seem difficult, but it's very easy. Just for each cusp, draw its triangular ridge. Here is the mesiobuccal triangular ridge will be directed straight forward, and the distobuccal will be directed straight forward. while regarding mesiolingual, it will be directed oblique towards the distal buccal, which is oblique as well, so that they will form the oblique ridge. Each cause we will remove 45 degree from the right and from the right and from the left. The 45 degree here to the buccal developmental groove, the 45 degree here to the mesial triangular fossa. Okay, for this cusp, what do you think? Yes, the 45 degree to the buccal developmental groove, and the other 45 degree to the mesial? No, to the distal triangular fossa. Regarding this distal cusp, distal lingual cusp, 45 degree to the, yes, the distal triangular fossa, and the other 45 degree to the, yes, the lingual developmental groove, the distal lingual developmental groove. And regarding this last cusp, the mesiolingual cusp, the largest cusp, 45 degree towards the distal lingual groove, and the other 45 degree towards the mesial triangular fossa and the central groove. And then we have cleaned our grooves and fossae from the wax. We have cleaned our grooves and fossae from the wax. It's very easy. It's very easy. Do your best, and finally, good luck.